join a Dungeons & Dragons group. But now you need a character. No biggie, that's what I'm here for. I'm going to walk you through this 2-part series on how I create a Dungeons & Dragons roleplay character. First, you're going to need a character sheet and a pencil. Some people use character sheets online, and some people use pen, but you're going to be erasing a lot of things, so it's really important to use pencil. Then you are going to need a character concept. I like to use Pinterest for inspiration. Now, if you already have a character concept or don't really have time to build a character concept, I will put the link or the time on the screen so that you can go ahead and just skip to that time in the video so that you don't really have to worry about the character concept part of this video. Alright, so choosing a picture off of Pinterest or drawing one yourself gives you a good idea of what you want your character to look like and a shallow version of what you want them to, their personality to be like. Choosing a character concept is pretty important because it helps you figure out how your character would fight, what they would use to fight, kind of a thing. Do they talk a lot, etc. Are they short, tall? Do they have cool character quirks because of their shortness or being tall? You know, if they're short, do they like to stand up on tall things in order to talk to people face to face? Do they, if they're tall, do they hit their head on things a lot? Are they kind of clumsy because they're so tall and there's, you know, extra length there? It just kind of depends on how you want to play your character, and the best characters have cool personality quirks like that. You know, and so are they super serious? You get to decide with the character concepts. The character concept stage gives you a bit of an idea of how that character would work and how they would work with others and how you would be able to play this character. Now, you may not have a ton of time to build a character concept or sit there on Pinterest for an hour looking at pictures that would give you ideas. And if you don't have that, that's perfectly fine. Not every character has to have quirks right off the bat. You can develop them in-game. I just personally like to start off with a picture and then kind of decide personality and go into how I would build that particular character. Rather, more fitting things into boxes that would fit the character rather than starting off with boxes and things that are already like in the character sheet and then trying to build personality off of that. It just works better for me, but obviously everybody builds characters differently and everyone plays characters differently and everyone likes different parts of D&D, so that makes sense. Now, generally the first, 3 things that people start with when besides character concepts are the race, class, and background. The races for Dungeons & Dragons 5e, the standard races, are the Tiefling, Dragonborn, Human, Elf, Half-Elf, Halfling, Dwarf, Gnome, and Half-Orc. Some people see these as pretty basic, but the reason these are so popular is because they work really well. All the races that I just mentioned are super balanced, there aren't any major flaws, and there aren't any major, advantages to any of them. So they all work really well with every class and generally every background. They're super versatile, so that's what the races in the books are, and those are the simplest player handbook races. Depending on who your dungeon master, or commonly referred to as DM, game master, is, they may let you choose from a variety of homebrew races. But be careful with homebrew because sometimes you may get what you want, but the races may be too weak or too strong for the campaign. It's really up to your DM to tell you whether or not it's okay to use them, and it's up to you to look and make sure that your race is balanced enough that it doesn't have any major flaws or any huge advantages over the rest of the characters. Your DM, if it's too advanced, then your DM may go ahead and say, look, you can't use this race, or hey, you don't get that ability from this race, but you do get to use this race. Just to make sure that the game is balanced and that, you don't overpower everything in the game. Since I am actually building a character in this video, my DM is letting me choose a homebrew race. So I decided to go ahead and play a mouse folk. We went through, he looked at all of the racial traits and everything, decided, hey, look, that's really cool, but you can't have that, you know, just to make sure that everything was balanced and everything was alright. And I'm totally cool with that. That's up to him as the dungeon master to decide. Those kinds of things. At least I get to choose the character that I want to play. Now that I've chosen a race, then you go into class. Now the classes are really cool. They're basically what kind of character do you want to play? Are you playing a bard, a rogue, a barbarian? Are you playing a fighter, a paladin? Are you playing a druid? Are you playing a monk, maybe a ranger, a sorcerer, warlock, or wizard? Those are the general balanced ones that are in the player handbook. There are more in homebrew as well, but I'm choosing from the general classic classes. Super simple, they are extremely well balanced, and that is a major advantage in the D&D system. So I went ahead and decided I was going to play a ranger. Now, I don't play rangers very often, but my DM said that I couldn't play my go-to classes because I play them a lot, and, you know, he decided it was time for me to choose something different, and that's okay. I was going to choose something different anyway. So I'm going to be a Mousefolk Ranger this time. Alright, now that you've chosen your race and your class, you can go ahead and start filling out things on your character sheet. So I went ahead and already put Ranger on there, and my race is Mousefolk. My alignments, generally alignments are, the alignments that you have are neutral good, neutral, true neutral, or neutral neutral. You have chaotic neutral, and you have chaotic evil. You also have chaotic good and chaotic neutral. I generally end up with chaotic neutral. There are also lawful good, lawful neutral, and lawful evil. I end up chaotic pretty much every time, so I just end up choosing chaotic neutral, and then some DMs let it change. Some DMs go ahead and make it so that, you know, whatever alignment you choose at the beginning, however you play, it stays that. My DMs normally end up having my alignment change with my personality. So if I play particularly evil, then my alignment will end up chaotic evil. If I play good, then in a, you know, virtuous way, then my alignment normally ends up chaotic good, but it pretty much stays chaotic because that's just my personality at this point. I'll go ahead and write whose it is. Now we need to choose a background. For backgrounds, we have Acolyte, we have Charlatan, Criminal, Entertainer. I chose Folk Hero from the Entertainer. Well, actually, Folk Hero is a different one, it looks like. Yeah, we've got Folk Hero. There's Guild Artisan. We have the Hermit one. We have Noble, Outlander, Sage, Soldier. No, wait, this is Sailor. This one's Soldier, Urchin, and that would be it. So there's quite a few to choose from. I ended up choosing Folk Hero because I thought that one would be really fun to do. And
Who doesn't want a Folkero Ranger mouth? Now, generally for stats, what you do is you'll roll 4d6 and then take off the lowest one. So for this one, it would end up being like that. My DM happened to roll my stats for me and then sent me the numbers. So I have a 12, a 14, another 12, a 15, a 16, and another 12. So what I'm going to do with those is we're going to put them into my ability modifiers here. So we have strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And those will get a big number, and then I normally put the small number in here. Sometimes it's the other way around. Those are the modifiers, and those will help you with skills and saving throws and everything that your character is actually good at and that you would be rolling dice in order to figure out if you would succeed on checks and things. Here are the modifiers for all of my stats, and then those I'll fill in those numbers with these skills here. The smaller number would go into all of these skills right there. For some reason, these dots on my sheets are filled in already. So I just put X's next to each one, and that means that I need to add my proficiency bonus to those particular skills. That means I'm really good at those things. Now, I'm not exactly sure what my proficiency bonus is because that does change for different levels, and I cannot remember exactly what level we are starting out in our in the campaign as. So, depending on what level you start with, your proficiency bonus will be a different number, and that will get added to your automatic, however automatically you start with certain skills. So that is rather important. Alright, so other things I am proficient in are the languages are Common and Sylvan. I have Dark Vision, which is super helpful, I might add, because if you have a tiny bit of light, it makes it so much easier to see. I can do that for 60 feet. That's general. Keen senses, you have proficiency in the perception skill. Awesome! That means I don't have to take that as a class skill, and I can go back to using something that would be helpful. Awesome. Okay, so let's choose one of my skills instead of perception because my race gives me that skill automatically. So I normally choose, I don't know, I always choose stealth. It's super helpful and I use it all the time. Yeah, I'll go ahead and choose stealth because I'm a mouse and that would make sense.
So far we've gone over the D&D races, classes, and backgrounds, as well as come up with a few character concepts, and I've shown you all how to fill out basic parts of the D&D character sheet. This is bringing part 1 of how to build a Dungeons & Dragons character to a conclusion. Part 2 will have tips on how to fill out the weapons portion of your D&D character sheet, as well as going more in depth with your character personality, really bringing them to life. So subscribe for part 2 and be on the lookout for it because it's coming out really soon. So don't let your lights go out.